Hello engineers and welcome to my channel. My name is Yash and in this video we will dive into useState hook and its core concepts. By the end of this video, you will be equipped with the knowledge and skills to effectively use the useState hook in your React projects. So here I have a basic project, a basic React project which I created using Vite, but you can use create React app if you like. Let's start by creating a basic counter, right? So I'll just say const count equals to 5 and let's change this to count. So count, and you can see the number here. So in order for us to increment, we need a function. So increment, and this is going to be count plus equal 1, and that's how anyone would do, right? And next thing, we need a button to increment. So button, and let's just say on click. So on click, and this is going to be increment, and let's just say increment here as well. And we have a button, and if I click here, nothing happens because let me show you one thing. So first, our console.log, and we will just log the count. So our constant, so we also need to change this to let, right? Because we need a variable if we are going to change it. So our variable is actually updating, but there is no way for React to know to update the DOM element, right? So let me show you. If you open up this console and you click on increment, we can see 6, 7, 8, 9, right? But React does not know that it should update this h1 element. For that, we use useState hook, okay? And before we get started, let me tell you one thing. None of the React hooks will work with class component, right? Always remember, guys, React hooks don't work with class component. And this is a good interview question as well. So let's say if you have something like this, trash input, let's say this is input field extends, and this is going to be react.component. And if you have something like this, you cannot use React hooks inside this, okay? So if you don't know, this is called a class component and this is a functional component. Now, most of the new React projects are built using functional component. If you don't know class component, I would recommend you learn it, like just some basics, but you should be fine just with functional components, okay? So let's remove this and let's start by importing useState hook, right? We will import here. So first IMR, this will import React, and this is where you import useState, right? So useState. So now useState is just a function, right? So a basic function. So you can call the function and the value you pass here is going to be your initial value, right? So for us, it's 5. So let's put 5 here. And this function, so useState, which is a function, returns an array, right? Array of 2 elements, right? So 0 and 1. Now first element is, so you can say something like this. So const array, right? And then you can access the first element and second element. Now that gets really messy. So what we will do is we will use destructuring. So I'll just destructure here, and first element is going to be your variable, and next element, so on position 1, is going to be your function. Now this function is used to update the value, right? Let me show you how it's done. So we don't need this count anymore, and this is not how you do it. And let's also remove this, okay? And here we'll just say set count and count plus 1. Awesome, right? Now I refresh the page. Now if I click here, boom, it works, right? Awesome. Okay, now this is a very, very basic example of useState. Now there are certain complexities with useState. So let's start by first thing. Now this thing is called every single time our component is updated, right? So let me show you. What you can do is let's just say function setup, and let's say you And you can also pass a function here, right, that we will see now. And okay, so console.log, and let's just say running, right, and we need to return the value. Now what you return becomes the default value, right? So instead of 5, we will just say setup, right, setup, and let's return something else so that we know. Okay, return 6. Okay, awesome. See, now open this here. If I click here, okay, this is running. Okay, I mean, this says how many times it's run. You know what, we can do this. So instead of this, let's just say math.random and save it, and boom, see, okay, it runs 2 times because of this, because of the strict mode. So go to main.js and you can remove this and save it. Now it just run single time. Now if you click here, you can see that it's running every single time. Now if you're doing something really resource intensive, let's say you are fetching something from internet or whatever, right? If you're computing something heavy, you want it to initialize only once. How you do that? It is really simple. Instead of this, you return, you put a function as parameter of the function, right? Or argument. I'm confused, but okay. Now, if I refresh it and now I click increment, it only runs first time, right? When it's initialized. So do keep this in mind. Next thing we will talk about is, okay, let's remove this. And guys, as far as if you're passing like basic number, right, like number or string, you should be fine. You don't need to create the function and return it here, right? But if you're doing some complex math or it changes every time, you might want to use a return, put a function inside the parameters, right? I think it's called lazy initialization. So do look it up. Okay, let's see the next complexity. And here we have this basic counter we created. Now, what happens if I copy this and paste it multiple times, right? What will happen? Do you think it will increment by 12? So I update this and click here. Okay, it is still being incremented by 1. The reason is all of this function, they run asynchronously. So all of this count here, right? All this count, they all will get number 5 as the count, right? So eventually as a whole, it becomes just 6. If you really want to increment it, let's say 2 times, the way you can do it is so with this set count, function, which we use to update our state, you can pass in a function as well. Inside that function, you get a previous state. So what you can do is you can say previous p state, and this is how you use it. And here you can just say p state, right? Save it and remove this, copy this and paste this here. Now if you increment, it increments by 2, right? You can see 7, 9, 11, 13, awesome, and 15, right? Okay, that's how you use previous state. Now one last thing, before we end this video, what if let's remove this. What we can do is let's create a new state, and this is going to be user, and let's just say set user, and okay, useState, and this is going to be an object, right? Let's say there is balance, right? Let's say this is some banking app and user has balance of 55 and username is let's just say foo. Okay, that's it. And let's remove this both, and instead of count we can just say user.balance. You know what, there is better way. We can use object destructuring. So we will just say const balance and username equal to user. Awesome. That's how you use object destructuring. I do have videos on array destructuring and object destructuring. If you don't know how to use them, do check it out. So I'll remove this, save it. Okay, we still see balance. let's do h4, and this is going to be username. Save it. Okay, now let's say using the button, using the increment, let's try to increase the foo's balance, right? So what you would think to do is you would say set user, and you would do this and just say balance. So balance is going to be balance +1, right? Now this will be your first instinct, right, to do this. But what happens if you do this? Now foo's balance is getting increased, but did you see the username is lost because it does not exist? What happened is when you did this set user, this object is replaced by this object, so there is no existence of username. But what if you want to keep it? The way to do is, once again, we use previous state, right? And here we will just spread it, right? I forgot what to say. So p state, and now it should work. Why is this error? We are getting this because we should put parentheses, right? And save it, refresh. Awesome. Now if I do this, foo stays and 65 is being updated as well. Now what if you want to update username and keep the balance static? Very simple. What we will do is just say username, and here instead of balance say username, right? Now if I do that, it's going to be foo111111, right? Awesome. Okay, I think we covered everything that you should know to use useState hook. I hope you understood everything there is to useState. If you guys still have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button and also hit subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.